The morning sun cast prismatic light through the crystal spires of Nimbus Colony, painting rainbow patterns across the alabaster platforms where young Ethereans spread their wings and took to the sky. Cato Vashti pressed his face against the observation deck's barrier, watching his peers soar effortlessly between the towering structures that pierced the clouds of planet Arios. At 15 cycles old, Cato should have been among them, his iridescent wings catching the light as he performed aerial maneuvers with the grace of his people. Instead, he stood earthbound, his shoulder blades bearing only smooth, pale skin where magnificent wings should have emerged during his transformation cycle 3 years ago. Still pretending you'll grow wings, freak? Jeered Talon Skyweaver, landing with practiced elegance beside the observation deck, his silver wings folded against his back as his friends gathered around, their expressions mixing pity with cruel amusement. Maybe you should accept that you belong on the ground with the maintenance drones. Akito's jaw tightened, but he didn't turn away from the window. Below, the lower levels of the colony stretched into misty depths, where only service workers and broken flyers lived. It was where society expected him to go, where wingless beings belonged in their carefully ordered world. The Sky Council already assigned you to waste processing, Talon continued, his voice carrying the casual cruelty of privilege. Why torture yourself watching real Ethereans fly? Because someday I will too, Cato replied quietly, his violet eyes never leaving the soaring figures above. The group erupted in laughter. With what wings? Talon spread his own silver wings mockingly. Face reality, Vashti. You're defective. The ancestors marked you as unworthy of the sky. When they finally departed in a rush of wind and mockery, Cato remained at the barrier. His fingers traced the intricate carvings on the platform's edge, patterns that told the story of the first Assyrians who had discovered flight among these very spires. According to legend, they had been earthbound once too, before evolution. Bless them with wings, evolution, he whispered to himself. If his people had once learned to fly, perhaps flight could be learned again differently. That afternoon, while his peers attended advanced aerial combat classes, Cato made his way to the abandoned sectors of the colony's lower levels. Here ancient machinery hummed with forgotten purposes, and the air tasted of ozone and possibility. He had discovered this place months ago during his first assignment to the waste processing centers. Hidden behind a massive atmospheric processor, Cato had built a small workshop from discarded materials. Rough sketches covered the walls. Diagrams of wing structures, propulsion theories, and mechanical designs that kept him awake at night. His fingers, more nimble with tools than any winged Etherean would ever need to be, had crafted small models from scrap metal and synthetic polymers. He picked up his latest creation, a miniature figure with articulated mechanical wings. Tiny mechanisms whirred as he manipulated the controls, and for a moment, watching it hover in his palm, Cato felt a spark of hope. If he could make a model fly, perhaps he could make himself fly. The sound of footsteps echoed through the mechanical chamber, heavy and unfamiliar. Cato quickly hid his workshop materials and crept toward the source of the noise, his heart racing. No one came to the lower levels except for mandatory maintenance shifts. Through a gap in the machinery, he glimpsed a figure moving with surprising confidence through the maze of pipes and processors. The being was humanoid, but clearly not Etherean. No wings, different proportions, and something unusual about the way he navigated the space. As the figure moved into a shaft of light, Cato saw weathered features, graying hair, and eyes that stared straight ahead without seeming to focus on anything. The stranger was blind, yet he moved through the unfamiliar environment as if he could see every obstacle, every pathway. In his hands, he carried what appeared to be sophisticated tools, and his clothes bore the practical design of an engineer rather than a laborer. Cato watched fascinated as the man approached a malfunctioning air recycler and began working on it with precise, efficient movements. Here was someone who navigated the world without one of his primary senses, yet seemed more capable than many who possessed all their faculties. As if sensing his observation, the man paused in his work and spoke without turning around. You can come out, young one. I can hear your breathing, and your curiosity is practically humming in the air. Cato's heart stopped. He had been discovered. Finn Blackwood had been blind for 12 years. Ever since the plasma conduit explosion aboard the Earth defense vessel Prometheus, the accident that had stolen his sight had also stranded him on Arios when his ship crashed during an emergency landing. Yet in those 12 years, he had learned to see in ways his sighted colleagues never could. Your heartbeat just spiked, Finn said, still working on the air recycler without turning around. Adrenaline response suggests you're either terrified or excited. Given that you've been watching me for nearly 10 minutes, I'm guessing excited. He set down his sonic wrench and finally faced the direction of Keto's hiding place. I'm Finn Blackwood, and judging by your breathing pattern and the slight echo in your voice earlier, you're quite young. Also wingless, which makes you unique. Among your people, Keto stepped into the open, amazed. How did you know about my wings? Wing movement creates distinctive air currents and sounds. Therans unconsciously adjust their posture for wing balance, even when grounded. You don't. Finn's scarred face creased into a smile. Plus, no winged Etheran would spend time in these lower levels unless forced to. You're here by choice, which suggests you don't belong in their skybound society. I'm Cato Vashti, the boy said, stepping closer. I've never seen anyone work like you do. It's like you can see everything without seeing anything. Finn chuckled, wiping grease from his hands. Blindness teaches you to use everything else. Sound, air movement, vibration, smell, spatial memory. Your other senses become sharper when you can't rely on sight. He tilted his head, listening to something Keto couldn't detect. There's a small workshop behind that atmospheric processor, isn't there? I can hear the subtle acoustic changes, smell the metal shavings and synthetic lubricants. Keto's eyes widened. You found my workshop. Workshop suggests purpose. What are you building, young Keto? For a moment, Keto hesitated. No one had ever asked about his projects with genuine interest. Wings, he whispered. Mechanical wings. I know it sounds impossible, but I've been studying aerodynamics, propulsion systems, neural interface technology. Show me, Finn said simply. They moved to Keto's hidden workspace, where the boy revealed his sketches and models with growing confidence. Finn ran his fingers over the drawings, feeling the raised lines of pencil marks, examining the small mechanical prototypes with gentle precision. Remarkable, Finn murmured, holding one of the wing models. Your understanding of lift dynamics is intuitive, almost instinctive. But you're approaching the power source wrong. He set the model down and faced Keto directly. Traditional wings rely on muscle power and hollow bones. You need to think differently. How? Finn smiled, and for the first time in years, felt the excitement of a challenging engineering problem. Energy fields, electromagnetic manipulation of air molecules. Your people's wings are biological miracles, but technology can create different miracles. He paused, considering. I crashed here with a cargo hold full of advanced propulsion components. Most were damaged, but some remained functional. You'd help me? Keto asked, hardly daring to believe it. Son, I've spent 12 years fixing air, recyclers, and water purifiers. The chance to build something that could change a life, give someone their dreams. Finn's expression grew determined. That's not help. That's purpose. Over the following weeks, their unlikely partnership deepened. Finn shared his engineering expertise while Keto provided intimate knowledge of Etheran physiology and flight patterns. Together, they began designing something that had never existed. Wings born not of evolution, but of determination and ingenuity. The others will never accept it, Keto said one evening as they worked by lamplight. Then we make them impossible. To ignore, Finn replied, his hands steady as he calibrated a power coupling. Sometimes the best way to change minds is to change what people think is possible. Zara Nightwhisper had always been different from other Etherans. While their peers focused on aerial grace and sky dancing, she found beauty in the mechanical systems that kept their floating city operational. Her workshop, hidden in the industrial sectors where few respectable citizens ventured, was a maze of salvaged components and half-completed inventions. The soft knock at her workshop door came at midnight. Just as she was finishing repairs on a damaged atmospheric regulator, Through the security viewer, she saw young Keto Vashti standing nervously beside a weathered human male she recognized from the maintenance logs. "Keto," she said, opening the door. "What brings you to the night shift levels? We need your help," Zara Keto said urgently. "With something impossible." Zara's emerald wings fluttered with curiosity as she led them inside. Workshop was larger than Keto's hidden space, filled with proper tools and diagnostic equipment. Holographic displays showed schematics of various mechanical systems, and prototype devices lined the workbenches. "This is Finn Blackwood," Keto explained. "He's an engineer from Earth, and he's been helping me with a project." Finn stepped forward, his blind eyes somehow seeming to take in the workshop's organized chaos. "Ms. Nightwhisper, I can hear the quality of your work in the harmonic frequencies of your equipment. You maintain your tools better than most sighted engineers I've known." Zara's crest feathers rose with pleased surprise. Few people appreciated the technical aspects of her work. "What kind of project are we discussing?" Keto and Finn exchanged glances before Keto pulled out a sealed container. Inside lay the most sophisticated mechanical wing prototype Zara had ever seen. The design was elegant, yet alien, incorporating technologies she recognized alongside others that seemed impossibly advanced. "Mechanical wings," Keto said simply. "For me," Zara's breath caught. In Aetherian society, such a concept bordered on blasphemy. Wings were sacred, gifts from the ancestors, not technological constructs. Yet as she examined the prototype, her engineer's mind couldn't help but admire the innovative design. "The power coupling is brilliant," she whispered, running her fingers along the energy conduits, electromagnetic field manipulation. "But how do you interface with the user's nervous system?" Finn smiled. "Bio-neural adapters. The wings respond to thought and muscle impulses just like natural wings would. In theory, the learning curve should be shorter than traditional prosthetics because the brain already understands the concept of flight." "In theory," Zara repeated, her scientific mind racing through the implications. "The materials alone would cost a fortune. Neural interface components, power cells capable of sustained flight, lightweight but durable framework." She paused, looking between them. "This isn't just a prototype. You're planning to build full-scale functional wings." "We've already started," Keto admitted. "But we need specialized components, fabrication equipment, and someone who understands Aetherian flight dynamics from a pilot's perspective." Zara was quiet for a long moment, her wings folding thoughtfully against her back. She had spent years watching her people's rigid adherence to tradition, their dismissal of technological solutions to physical challenges. Here was a chance to push boundaries, to prove that innovation could coexist with heritage. "The Sky Council will be furious," she said finally. "If they discover we're building mechanical wings, they'll exile all of us." "Only if we fail," Finn replied. "Success has a way of changing perspectives." Zara walked to her materials locker and began pulling out components. "Then we'd better not fail." She turned back to them with determination in her violet eyes. "I have access to military-grade materials through my maintenance contracts. And," she grinned, "I know someone who can help us test flight dynamics without attracting attention." Over the following months, their secret project consumed their nights. Zara's workshop became mission control, where they refined designs, tested components, and solved seemingly impossible engineering challenges. The mechanical wings evolved from crude prototype to sophisticated flight system, incorporating the best of human technology and Aetherian understanding. "The weight distribution is perfect," Zara announced after their latest test with a wing loading simulator. "Response time is actually faster than biological wings in some configurations." Keto strapped on the partial framework they'd constructed, feeling the neural interfaces sync with his nervous system. For the first time in his life, he could sense something extending from his shoulders, responding to his thoughts like phantom limbs becoming real. "When do we attempt actual flight?" he asked, excitement and terror warring in his voice. Zara and Finn exchanged meaningful looks. "Soon," Zara replied. "But first, we need to ensure you're ready for the consequences of success." Captain Dorian Stormright had commanded the Sky Guard for 23 years. His silver-streaked wings bearing the scars of countless aerial battles and rescue missions. He prided himself on recognizing exceptional pilots, But the report on his desk challenged everything he thought he knew about flight capability. A wingless Etherean requesting flight certification testing? He read aloud to his aide. This must be someone's idea of a joke. Lieutenant Vega Starfall shifted uncomfortably. Sir, the request comes with engineering specifications and performance data. It appears to be legitimate. Dorian studied the attached documents, his experienced eye parsing the technical details. The mechanical wing designs were sophisticated, beyond anything in their current arsenal, incorporating technologies that shouldn't exist on Aerios. More disturbing was the flight simulation data suggesting the user had already achieved basic aerial competency. Schedule a preliminary assessment, he decided. If this is genuine, I need to see it personally. If it's fraud, we'll end it quickly. 3 days later, Dorian stood on the testing platform as storm clouds gathered over Nimbus's colony. Weather control had failed to disperse the approaching tempest, leaving the sky dangerous for all but the most experienced flyers. It seemed fitting that this unusual test would take place under such challenging conditions. Keto Vashti appeared at the platform entrance, flanked by an unlikely support team, Zara Nightwhisper, whom Dorian recognized as a talented but eccentric engineer and a blind human male who moved with surprising confidence. The boy himself looked nervous but determined, wearing what appeared to be the most advanced personal flight system Dorian had ever encountered. Captain Stormwright, Cato, said formally, I request permission to attempt flight certification under your supervision. Dorian's trained, I examined the mechanical wings with professional interest. The construction was flawless, incorporating materials and techniques that suggested military-grade engineering. Where did you acquire this equipment? We built it, the human said simply. I'm Finn Blackwood, former Earth Defense Force engineer. This young man has more natural understanding of aerodynamics than most pilots develop in years of training. Natural understanding? Dorian repeated skeptically. He has no wings, neither do humans, Finn replied. Yet we learn to fly using technology and determination. Sometimes limitations force innovation. The approaching storm created dangerous wind shears and electromagnetic interference that would challenge even veteran pilots. Dorian's instinct was to postpone the test, but something in Keto's eyes reminded him of his own first flight evaluation decades ago, that mixture of terror and absolute determination. The conditions are marginal, Dorian warned. Storm protocols are in effect. I can't guarantee your safety. I understand the risks, Keto replied, activating his wing systems. The mechanical wings extended with a soft hum, their surfaces adjusting automatically to the wind conditions. Neural interface indicators showed green across all systems. Then show me what you can do, Dorian said, stepping back. Keto moved to the platform edge and launched himself into the turbulent air. For a heart-stopping moment, he plummeted toward the lower levels before his wings caught the wind. But instead of the graceful ascent Dorian expected, Keto's flight was something entirely different. More aggressive, more precise with mechanical efficiency that biological wings couldn't match. The storm hit with full fury just as Keto reached cruising altitude. Wind shears that would have sent experienced pilots scrambling for shelter seemed to energize him. His mechanical wings adjusted to conditions faster than biological reflexes could manage, turning atmospheric chaos into opportunity. Impossible, Dorian breathed, watching Keto navigate the storm with growing skill, not fighting it. Lightning flashed across the sky, and in that moment of illumination, Dorian saw something that changed his perspective. Forever, pure joy on the face of someone experiencing flight for the first time. Not the practiced competence of trained pilots, but the raw wonder of achieving the impossible. When Keto finally landed, his mechanical wings folding against his back with precise choreography, Dorian faced a choice that would define his legacy as Skyguard commander. Elder Seraph Windhaven had governed Nimbus's colony for 47 years, her ancient wings now more silver than their original gold. She had seen her people through natural disasters, technological advances, and social changes, but nothing had prepared her for the crisis now dividing her community. The Sky Council chamber buzzed with heated arguments as representatives debated the unprecedented situation. half demanded that the wingless boy be grounded permanently, his mechanical wings destroyed as an abomination against nature. The other half, swayed by Captain Stormwright's detailed report, argued for recognition of a new form of flight. "The ancestors gave us wings for a reason," declared Counselor Hawk Cloudchaser, ceremonial feathers bristling with indignation. "To allow artificial replacements mocks our sacred heritage." "The ancestors also gave us intelligence," countered Counselor Robin Skyweaver, Talon's surprisingly progressive mother. "Perhaps they expected us to use it." Seraph raised her hand for silence, her voice carrying the authority of decades. "Bring in the boy." Cato entered, flanked by his unlikely allies, Finn Blackwood, whose engineering expertise had made the impossible possible; Zara Nightwhisper, whose technical skills had refined dreams into reality; and Captain Stormwright, whose endorsement carried tremendous weight among the military caste. "Keto Vashti," Seraph said formally, "you stand accused of violating the natural order, of presuming to claim the sky through artificial means. How do you answer?" Keto straightened, his mechanical wings folded but visible beneath his ceremonial cloak. "Elder Windhaven, I answer that I have claimed nothing that wasn't already mine by right of birth as an Etherin. I have simply found a different path to the same destination." "Different paths?" Counselor Cloudchaser scoffed. "Next, you'll claim that crawling insects deserve to soar with eagles." "I claim," Keto replied steadily, "that the sky belongs to anyone brave enough to reach for it, regardless of how they get there." Seraph studied the young Etherean with ancient eyes that had seen the rise and fall of many traditions. "Captain Stormwright, your assessment? His flight capabilities?" "Exceed Academy standards," the captain reported. "More importantly, his unique perspective has identified tactical advantages our traditional training never considered. The storm navigation techniques he developed could revolutionize aerial rescue operations. And the technological implications?" Seraph asked, turning to Zara. "The neural interface technology could help injured flyers regain aerial capability," Zara explained. "Wing damage that would previously ground pilots permanently could become merely temporary setbacks." Finn stepped forward, his blind eyes somehow meeting Seraph's gaze directly. "Elder Windhaven, on my home world, we have a saying: the sky doesn't care how you reach it, only that you dare to try. This young man has dared and succeeded, using nothing but determination and ingenuity." The chamber fell silent as Seraph contemplated her decision. Finally she stood, her ancient wings spreading in a gesture of formal pronouncement. "The Sky Council will vote," she announced. "But first, I invoke the right of trial by Sky, Keto Vashti. If you can complete the spiral of Arion under full observation, demonstrating mastery equal to our finest pilots, the Council will recognize your wings, mechanical or otherwise, as legitimate instruments of flight." The spiral of Arion was the most challenging flight test in Ethian culture, requiring precise navigation through the colony's most dangerous air currents, while maintaining perfect formation with experienced pilots. Many naturally winged candidates failed multiple attempts. "I accept," Keto said, without hesitation. The trial took place at dawn, with thousands of colonists watching from observation platforms. Keto's mechanical wings gleamed in the early light as he took position alongside 5 veteran Skyguard pilots. At Seraph's signal, they launched into the complex aerial dance that would determine his fate. What followed was a display of flying that few observers would ever forget. Keto's mechanical wings moved with precision that complemented rather than mimicked natural flight, creating new possibilities within ancient patterns. When turbulence threatened formation integrity, his wings adapted faster than biological reflexes. When precise maneuvering was required, his mechanical control systems provided stability that organic wings couldn't match. By the trial's end, even the most traditional counselors had to acknowledge what they witnessed, not the replacement of natural flight, but its evolution. "The vote is unanimous," Seraph announced. "Keto Vashti is hereby recognized as a full citizen of the sky, with all rights and responsibilities thereof." She paused, her ancient voice carrying new possibility. "Furthermore, the Council establishes the Department of Adaptive Flight Technologies. Zara Nightwhisper is director, and Finn Blackwood is senior consultant. As the crowd erupted in cheers and protests in equal measure, Keto felt his mechanical wings respond to his emotions, spreading wide in triumph. He had proven that the sky belonged not just to the naturally gifted, but to anyone determined enough to build their own path to the clouds. In the years that followed, Nimbus Colony became known throughout the galaxy not just for its natural flying citizens, but for its innovations in adaptive flight technology. The workshop where a wingless boy once dreamed of flying became the heart of a revolution that proved limitations existed only until someone refused to accept them. And in the crystal spires, where young Ethereans learned to soar, a new lesson was taught. The sky has room for every dream brave enough to reach for it.